really exciting to be back on LAN. Personally, I love playing on stage and playing in front of crowds and this kind of thing. I think it definitely fuels me as a player.
Didn't have the element. I mean, look at Boss. Look at how
This is crazy.
Boss is. Like, he really doesn't need to be going 1v5. There's no need to do it.
Double sword. This is crazy.
I'm so happy that we are here.
To be here at the finals means a lot for us. It means our efforts paid out.
To get that circulation for connecting on to, you also have the gas being thrown out by Gragas. Now you have the tidal wave coming through. Heals in right there, but that could be another 4-man shockwave going over to Ariana.
This year is all about this tournament. When you're in this situation, you want to give the best of yourself.
Yeah, I certainly feel ready.
We expect to be first, nothing less.
Hundreds of teams signed up to compete, but we've whittled them down to just 5. We brought them to our studio here in Stockholm, Sweden. They're going to be competing for over 150,000 euros worth of prize pool, a spot at the Horizon Cup later this year, and most of all, the right to call themselves championships. The Wild Rift Origin Series Championship starts right now. Oh, it feels so good to be back in a studio after all this time, and it's a beautiful one at that. We'll be taking a look at it as the day goes on. My name's Trid. I'll be here as your host for the entire weekend, but I can't do it alone. Of course, I have to have some fantastic casters and analysts. I'm going to kick things off by introducing our first 2 casters for the day. It's D-Man and X-Scoundrel. Oh. We had something much better planned for rehearsal, and they decided to cop out of that one. You saving it?
He didn't want to do it.
Yeah, he didn't want to do it. You cancelled at the last minute.
He didn't want to do it.
Unbelievable.
I'm 30 years old. I can't do this across the front of
Well,
the
you're not
stage.
supposed to show them, because you can do that tomorrow or Sunday. There was still time for that to happen.
We'll see. We'll see. Maybe tomorrow there'll be something a little bit more exciting. We'll see.
All right, plan something for me.
Okay.
First of all, thanks very much for joining me in Stockholm. It's fantastic to be in the studio. We've done a little bit of remote over the past couple of months, but
I don't know if you're aware, Trid, I've actually been here with you for 3 days.
have you? No, you're breaking the veil, mate. They're not supposed to know that stuff. Not supposed to know it. But of course, we've done a bunch of remote broadcasts just to cover the first couple of months of the Origin series. For people tuning in for the first time, though, D-Man, what do these people miss? What's been happening for the past couple of months?
Yeah, obviously the 3 tournaments, we've had one team that's kind of dominated it from Group A, and that is now known as RIX GG, by the way. They came into it, obviously, as Tribe Gaming, dropped out to no team, no talent, trolled everyone saying, oh, the teams fell apart, and then obviously got picked up by RIX GG. So they are the #1 team here, I think, without a doubt, but they are going to get challenged by the CIS guys.
Yeah, and again, we haven't seen these guys play up against each other yet. Group B, Unicorns of Love absolutely dominated, did enough in the first 2 months to ensure they got their spot coming into that 3rd one in August. It has been 3 monthly tournaments, points accrued across all of them to secure our top 5 teams here. I'm really excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, we did have 3 groups competing over the course of the tournament. They were separated around by server proximity, I believe. Fortunately, we've not been able to have any Group C representatives here in Stockholm, but of course, Group A and Group B will be ready to duke it out. We've spoken about a couple of names already. Why don't we meet all the players and teams who have made it here?
I'm Nick Goldstar. I'm Baron Laner and team captain of Unicorns of Love.
I'm Vex. I play jungle for the team Natus Vincer.
My name is Snitch. I'm the mid laner for RIX.GG.
My name is Machuani, aka Random, and I'm a Game Lord captain as well as Baron Laner.
I'm so happy that we are here and we made this. Through all the problems we had, we are here and we are prepared to play.
I think we are very emotional, and that's gonna buff us in stage because we're gonna be so motivated, so hyped.
And it's not that easy against us, I assume. We look at our champions and their champions and we're like, okay, this is their strength, this is our strength.
We've only been together for like 3 months, but we are definitely a not predictable team.
Our play style is different. I mean, I cannot describe our play style in one word. Game Lords hated us for bringing Son Seraphine composition into European scene.
It means a lot for me and the rest of the team to be present at this tournament. This is the first big event for Wild Rift Europe, essentially, and it's a real honor to be part of it. We expect to be first, nothing less, and we're going to do our best to get there.
It's almost a dream, like we are training a lot for this. And if we win this tournament, it says like we are doing good work.
Yeah, I have my good luck charm. It's not unicorn, but it's my pink flamingo.
Our chances are pretty small, for sure, but I think we can do some upsets here and there.
We're all extremely excited and happy to be there, and we're gonna give our very best like we never did before, because this is, for us, the most important event we've played so far. Good luck to everyone, but don't get too scared either when you see us on stage.
Well, there you have it. Just a fraction of the players who are going to be appearing today and over, hopefully, next couple of days. But we'll get on to how that's going to work in a second. Pink flamingos, are they good luck charm, guys? How are we feeling about the buff?
I was just wondering that. Coldstar did just walk into the sort of gaming area, and we saw that pink flamingo. I don't think I've seen that one before, but he's got a big unicorn with him now.
When Coldstar was doing his interviews at the very start, he was wearing that huge hat. You know, the guy is an absolute treasure. I love that man. Absolutely.
You're gassing him up now. You can hear everything you're saying in the studio. We're getting ready for this.
Like gassing him up over there.
You as well.
Much love,
you as
much
well.
love.
Right, let's get into the nitty gritty a little bit though. Let's pull up a blank ratings sheet for us. Ratings? Rankings.
Same thing.
Same thing. Same thing. Absolutely blank. Two important things to note here. We are saying goodbye to the team that finishes in 5th place after today's shenanigans.
Yep.
First place, they get a nice little treat though, don't they, Lee?
Yeah, they can pick who they face tomorrow, which is going to be an interesting one, because would you pick 4th place, or do you pick who you're better against and feel maybe you'll try and take your competition out semi-finals? Oh, it's a tricky choice.
Today's a great chance to test that out, to see who your playstyle fits versus. I think all these teams are good. All these, I mean, getting to the stage of the tournament is absolutely like you're showing you're the best in Europe right now. And there are a lot of play styles, a lot of teams that haven't played against each other just yet. I think we've got a lot to prove and a lot to see throughout the remainder of the day.
And that's really the most exciting thing about this weekend, is that this is the first time we are having inter-group competition. They've been isolated in their own little ecosystems. Potentially, we've got some individual metas arising or some differences in plays. Like Group A, I think a lot of people are kind of predicting they're going to be the stronger of the two groups present here. But Group B aren't to be written off just yet.
No, absolutely. There's a lot of banter to be had between, obviously, not just Europe and CIS. We have in front of us North America are getting involved as well. They think they're better than everyone else out there at the moment, it seems. But
we'll leave that.
We'll leave that one for the Horizon tournament. But at the moment, I mean, this is the first game of the day. Is going to be #1 Group A, #1 Group B. We're kind of setting it out early here.
Absolutely. Let's pull that schedule up onto the screen. Take a quick look at what we're going to be dealing with as the day goes on. As D-Man has already said, Unicorns of Love versus RIX is going to be our first series of the day. I think that's probably the one people are going to be most interested in for now, but there could be some upsets that really change expectations across the course of the day. Anything standing out for you, Kiernan?
Well, I think this is the litmus test game. This right here is the game that you can really get a true test of which group comes out on top here. And I think this is the best one to kick things off with. RIX, I think, clearly come in as the entire tournament favourites, just based on their performance throughout the Origin series over the last 3 months. And then you have Unicorns of Love. Absolutely aggressive. They leave nothing at the door. They throw everything at you. And you heard Coldstar talking about it. They have some comps that they want to try and bring to the European scene.
It's going to be very interesting to see how it progresses through the day, because obviously everybody plays each other twice. So we see how maybe a team develops as maybe changes strategies, because as you say, you know, we could be seeing CIS coming in very aggressive. Maybe EU get caught out by that. They're probably going to be expecting it. So maybe they will change something else. Who knows?
Well, it's also best of ones as well.
Yeah, that's always tricky.
If you wanted to really throw a catalyst into the unpredictability, best of ones are going to be the thing to do it. We've also got 10 games totals. We just saw 5 there. We're going to have 5 more later on in the day. As you've already said, every team plays each other twice. Looking at how those standings shape up, immediately after our little halftime, if you call it, we've then got Unicorns of Love versus Na'Vi, the Battle of CIS.
And then look as it goes through the day. Look at that. RIX versus Queso. That is #1 versus #2 Group A, by the way. These teams have faced each other, and they've actually, I would say Queso are one of the teams that have taken probably the most game of RIX, even though not been too many. Don't get me wrong, but it hasn't been too many, but they have taken a couple of games of RIX. And as you said, this is best of one. It could be one of those games where they take it off them and then suddenly there's an upset. But that's starts at 8 o'clock. That's miles ahead of us.
I know. Best of one,
Yep.
LAN format.
Yep.
You know, there are some changes to some people's playing devices coming into this. You know,
that's a big one.
Some people went from tablets to phones. That's a big shift in terms of the way that you're playing. Lots of things could happen today. Don't write any team off when we kick things off.
LAN jitters. This is, I mean, I'm saying
it's a
boys.
thing. Yeah, no, it's a
LAN
thing.
jitters.
It's a thing.
Yeah, but the fact is we're on LAN. We're on LAN.
Mate, I've not done a LAN event for like a year and a half. And I've got it. I'm supposed to be on camera, not getting jitters. I can't imagine how the players are feeling, you know, especially those of them who have never come to a LAN event before either.
Yeah, some players are actually out there. I think you were telling me behind stage, Leon probably hasn't been attending a lot of LAN events, maybe in this esport or previous mobile esports they've been involved with.
Yeah, Leon was considered one of the best players of all time of a previous mobile, you know, title.
Yeah.
He didn't get the opportunity to showcase that at LAN, and you know, yes, you can be considered the best of all time, but if you haven't got the results to prove it, sometimes it's a little bit different. But I categorically think he was one of the best of all time in that esport. This is the first time he's got to compete at a LAN event. It's a huge deal for him. It's a huge deal for, you know, to finally establish himself as one of the greats of mobile esports. That carries weight.
Yeah, 100% going to be a new experience for a lot of teams at this tournament indeed. There's also some previous esports competition coming out from a lot of the players. We have a Heroes of the Storm pro from one of the teams. We also have a League of Legends pro who's jumped over to Wild Rift as well on the form of Coldstar, I believe.
Coldstar, yeah. When we talked about him at the top there, he's obviously come across and he's got a lot of experience. There's no doubt about it. He's going to know the game. That will help throughout to his team as well. Maybe bring that experience, maybe bring them, calm them down a little bit in the heat of a moment, something, you know. And as we say, best of ones, there's 10 games today. There's 10 games. If you lose the first game, it's not over. There's plenty to go. It's only last place that goes out. Everybody else is in the semi-finals tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as you said, plenty of experience here across the board. There is people coming from even just solo queue in League of Legends. They've had that high ratings. Plenty of previous mobile esports champions here as well. So there is lots of mixed experience, lots of players who have migrated towards Wild Rift and what it offers. And I'm really excited to see how everything shapes up.
So we've done a lot of the abstract, given a lot of the background, but we have to get into the game itself, guys. What are we expecting to see in the first draft? Maybe to cue up some of the audience about power picks in general for Wild Rift.
Yeah, well, we should talk about the bans to start with. So there are 4 champions not allowed today. Obviously, Brandon Nunu and Willump, I should say. The 2 new champions that come through, they're not allowed yet here in the Origin Series, but there is 2 bans, and that is Ashe and Varus, which is a biggie for us.
Yeah, Varus, for me, is the biggest shift here because a lot of people considered him a tier 1 AD carry competitive pick. Has extreme range. He's got a really good lethality build that works really nicely right now. And so I think the shift that we're not seeing Varus in play means that we are going to start to see some interesting tactics when it comes to limiting the AD carry pool. In terms of what I'm expecting to see, though, Kai'Sa, Ezreal, Braum, you know, a lot of the enchanters that are super popular right now. Very solid, either like safe or utility-focused mid laners, tanky top laners, or just those beasts like Fiora or Camille, who we've seen quite a lot of come through that Baron lane, you know, champion pool.
So I'm a bit of a jungler. What are we expecting to see in the jungle? Any power picks there?
That's an interesting one because that's where a lot of the bans did focus throughout the monthly finals. Now, certainly for this game, focusing jungle bans doesn't make much sense to me because we're expecting a large champion pool coming out from Doomier. So it's going to be a tricky one to focus ban him. And as we just mentioned, with the AD carries now coming in, we've even been like theory crafting upstairs. Like, are they going to start banning out the top tier AD carries in focus to like get the one that's available? Maybe try and sneak Ezreal through the ban phase or a Lucian.
Well, actually, you saw it in the clip that Coldstar talked about. He's trying to bring some Seraphine comps. And one of the things that dominated Europe across the early phases of the Origin series and before that was Seraphine-focused bot lane comps, where they'd run double enchanter bot. They didn't even run an AD carry.
I think it was banned every game.
Yeah,
I guess.
It was banned. It was banned pretty much all the time. It was a very consistent ban, especially versus Game Lord. A lot of people kind of found that as Game Lord's weakness. The Game Lord were winning because they had Seraphine every game, and people then said, well, let's just ban Seraphine, and then Game Lord started to unravel a little bit. So yeah, there is lots of, I think, malleable comps that we'll see in Wild Rift, and I think, you know, just because we're not seeing Varus doesn't mean we're not going to get some of that those wild and exciting comps that we expect to see. Jungle is an interesting one, though. I do want to hype up my boy Doom a bit. This guy is, he was one of the previous mobile esports, same one that the Leon was part of. Absolute god in that game as well, very well known for a particular pick. He was a bit of a one-trick pony, but very much people were scared of that particular pick. Then he came into League of Legends, got Challenger in solo queue, Challenger in flex queue, has moved over to Wild Rift as the jungler, and I think most people consider him the best jungler in Europe.
All right, well, that sounds like enough setup for the players at home. They're going to understand everything that's going on. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our first game of the championship.
Certain for sure, the players had a lot of fun, and you can see them here now in the arena. And it's great to see, by the way, like to have players here on site is always a bonus for us, because A, we can pick their brains to start with, B, they can sort themselves out. They are the other way round, as you can tell. That is not RIX. That was Unicorns of Love. Clearly, they just color matched.
No. You were looking at the wrong labels there. But regardless, it is a really, really hype matchup. I want to reiterate, it's first seed from Group A versus first seed from Group B. You know, this, as we said, is the litmus test for this particular championship. I think most people expect RIX to come in as the favorites to this tournament. But as we said, they haven't had the chance to play Group B teams yet. There is a difference in play style. We've talked about the way that we saw Group B evolve throughout the Origin series. They were super aggressive, different style of comps being played as well. And we are into picks and bans.
Here we go. This is the first one getting underway. The first game of many. 10 matches played out today. 2 best-of-5 semi-finals tomorrow, and a best-of-7 grand final played out on Sunday. That's a lot of games. I don't think we've said that before.
No, yeah, that's one of the first times I've ever cast a best-of-7 of anything.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a really intense, and obviously you're guaranteed to get the intended victor out of a best-of-7.
Well, we just hope it's not a clean sweep.
Well, there you go. Right.
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
Here we go. A couple of things to mention right off the bat here, D-Man. Fiora banned against Leon. Fiora is one of the most obnoxious Baron laners in the game. She has very, very few bad matchups. In fact, I think no bad matchups almost. And so I think that's also starting to hammer home on Leon here, trying to make him a little bit more uncomfortable.
And it's interesting because obviously, you know, we're looking at Coldstar as well. Obviously, the two top laners, effectively, there's almost the stars of the teams clashing early on.
But Coldstar is very much a tanky, play for the team.
Yeah.
Zone
I'm expecting a Renekton, I gotta be honest.
I'm expecting a Garen, I'm expecting maybe a Gragas there. There's lots of things that can be played.
There's a Seraphim band.
As I said, Coldstar gave away his tactics in his little video. Yeah, they're going to see the Seraphim band away. Ziggs has remained, I think, the most consistent competitive ban in Wild Rift competitive history. He just takes towers really quickly. Towers are not like they are in the traditional League of Legends PC game. They are a bit more paper-like, and they go down.
So, okay. We'll see how this is going to go through. Senna going out. We were talking about possible focus. I don't really know where the focus is going right now. When Shin's out. Okay, Shin's out. That is a focus ban.
Yeah.
Doom played this one throughout June, July. I think it had a 90-95% win rate just because he played about 12 games in it. That is absolutely 100% focused. And then the Camille coming through.
Yeah, we're going to see the Camille ban finally here. So a couple of Leon's important pickups have gone down the drain. Senna banned away because although I think not a lot of people consider Senna a particular strong pick outside of competitive, fasting Senna lanes are quite obnoxious to play against, and a lot of people do like to play a very, very strong bot lane with Senna in competitive, where it works a lot more freely.
There is Doom with the unicorn on the screen, Leon on the left there with Doom to the right, and obviously we got Snitch that you've all seen on camera many times on the right of him. So the Gragas, the first pick for the Unicorns of Love. I mean, play it where you want, but hello, Lee Sin coming straight in from RIX.
That's absolutely a gauntlet thrown down here. The good thing about the Lee Sin is that it is a flex for RIX. It can be played both by Leon and Doom. And Leon is one of the very few Baron laners in Europe who plays Lee Sin top right now. None of them play Lee Sin top.
It's such a high-skill champion. Yeah. That's the problem. It's such a high-skill champion, with the Gragas also being there. I mean, there's not a lane where Gragas cannot play. The Riven's going to come straight
That is wild to me. We have been seeing it over in Southeast Asia a little bit. Riven is quite strong. Riven jungle, though, is something that Doom does like and will play. And what I love about the Riven and Lee Sin is that is completely interchangeable here for RIX.
Yeah.
They can definitely flex that to both roles.
Okay. Rakan looking like coming in, so we'll see whether they get the Zaya in there. We were talking about whether they were going to focus on the AD carries, that they haven't at the moment.
Yes.
We were expecting them maybe to come early, but it's something they're trying to reserve for later, and the Galio.
Galio's super strong map control, great teamfight presence, is a very strong competitive pick in general. Can either be played in mid lane, sometimes support, but obviously we're not going to see it here. This will be the mid lane pick, which means that Gragas will either be going jungle or top lane. Given it's Cold Star, I'm imagining it's a Baron lane pickup for him.
And that's some fantastic crowd control there with the Gragas, the Rakan, and the Galio. There's a lot of knockups there, explosive cast coming through, of course. To see how it's going to work out, there is the Ezreal Braum, so we've already seen what the Dragon lane is going to be. Ezreal, definitely one of the top tier ADs out there at the moment.
And there's Kai'Sa. As we said, Kai'Sa and Ezreal, the two most picked AD carries I think you'll see across this championship, if they're not banned, and the immediate response. And Graves comes through. So Graves jungle, Gragas Baron lane.
Yep, think so.
Galio. The problem that I have with this comp is it's very short range, and the damage is very reliant on Kai'Sa as we go through the game. However, there isn't much to disengage away from that short range apart from the Braum here from RIX. So this last pick for me is going to be integral, and I love it. I love it. I think it's a great addition. That shockwave and dissonance is going to make it very difficult for Galio, Gragas, and for Graves.
Exactly, and if you think of almost the pile-on factor of the Rakan obviously going in there, probably going to get the Galio jumping on top of either him or the Gragas, then immediately throw that shockwave on top of them, bam, dissipates, absolutely pulls them all together. Lot of damage on RIX's team, no doubt about it, and a lot of control for the Unicorns of Love. Where do we see this going?
Oh my gosh, we're going into game very soon.
Well, let's get into it. Game number 1.
Here we go. I can just hear Leon in the background. His voice is hyped up for this. These are the two comps locked in. It is going to be that Galio mid. Again, as I said, short range, lots of crowd control. If you can keep this team fight collected and together and find a good engage that catches Snitch and Friend or in there, then I think you are looking at a strong team fight for Unicorns of Love. But as I said, you're a little vulnerable to the range advantage that RIX are bringing with the Ezreal and the Orianna. That's one problem that I think you're going to have. And so you have to be a little careful about how you approach these team fights because you get outranged massively.
Be a very defensive approach for him. Paton, of course, in the jungle with the Graves. Not something new, something we've seen for many years now, in all fairness. It's almost become the standard jungle path. It started out life in the Dragon lane many years ago, moved out of that long ago.
Mate, that's old school League of Legends.
That is old school, yeah.
It was something that about 2 months ago we saw quite a bit of in the jungle for the Wild Rift scene, but he got nerfed pretty heavily. His base stats got gutted a little bit. So we do sometimes see him come out. He got a big buff with some of the changes to the items, which made some build paths a little bit more viable for him. But some of his really, really core items have taken a hit, like the Solari Charge Blade. So I'm expecting to see a more late game focused Graves here. You need something to complement the damage coming out from ZachQ on this Kai'Sa. Speaking of ZachQ, this Kai'Sa is a really strong pick for him. He's very, very comfortable on it, and I'm expecting to see him perform well here.
Absolutely. So, quick early scuttlegram. Looking to see if any little options. I can see that the Riven of Doom is doing the exact same on the south side river. So very much even paths, and they are both going for the invade. So pretty much following each other's path right now.
This is a super... Oh my gosh,
oh,
Leon, he is going... Oh, he lands
He's got it!
Wave!
Cold Star, absolutely done, and that was a straight 1v1. There will be, obviously, the revenge kill from Phaeton, but that was Cold Star in a straight 1v1, all burning summoners.
If you are looking to settle the nerves here, that was a great way to settle the nerves for Leon especially. You did mention that that pathing from the junglers, that is very standard. You see a red to blue side clear into a Krug invade. That is the most standard competitive jungle pathing that you're going to get, and you'll see Doom head back over towards his blue buff and clean that up. It basically power levels you to level 5. Let's take a look back at this again. Somehow Leon just got the better of Cold Star in the 1v1 there. We missed the majority of it, but luckily, because Phaeton went for that red side invade onto the Krugs, he was there and ready to clean up the kill.
Yeah, and I got to assume the positioning that they were in, it was Cold Star that was kind of being the aggressor, but was caught out of position. Here goes Doom to see what he can do getting around the back. There gets onto Grizzly Q. You can see Snitches join them as well. They're going to go for Leon on the top of the tower. Jukes the skill shot, gets out of there. There's the knockup from Grizzly Q. That's going to all go wrong. Doom is going to get taken down. The reversal coming out from the Unicorns of Love as they try and catch onto the other. ZachQ will be able to flash away. Grizzly Q very low, can't get involved in this, and I don't think they can chase into that tri-bush. They will have to back away, but it was a 1 for well, effectively a 1-for-1 because the top, but they didn't actually get Leon down.
And they're going straight onto Leon on the top side here. Leon finds the hit.
And Leon's going for it, and he's got the help arriving. Here comes Doom coming around the side. Faton's going to have to run away from this one. Leon wants to get another, but no. The Sonic Wave lands on the Krug, and he's not going to be able to follow through.
Unfortunately, RIX, they're still going. They want Coldstar here.
Coldstar's coming through. Look at this. Clue and Snitcher here. It's a full-on melee. They're all piling in. The big knockup comes through. That's a huge hit there. Doom will manage to flash away from that one, but it is simple. Disengage right now. Clue's doing what he can. That is a Braum that is tanky enough. And nobody going down. Coldstar and Leon, of course, were picked off on the top there. They're still a 1-for-1, but these boys want to fight.
Absolutely seeing the aggression from Unicorns of Love here. They're on the map. They're taking RIX every single fight. RIX, they felt pushed to go for a bot lane tower dive to basically facilitate the pressure that we saw coming out from Faton on the top. They knew they had a man advantage. They were trying to force the issue. But tower diving when a Galio exists in the game is always scary. They botched the first engage. Galio was able to get there to regenerate, and essentially that allowed Unicorns of Love to build back from the bot lane and find that kill.
So first Dragon going down, and it is RIX that will be taking it. Is that going to get transferred? Often is the transference is they go for that Rift Herald. They want to get Leon on the top lane. Leon is going to be the focus here. He's already getting away from this one. Realize the pathfinding coming in. There's going to be the Grand Exchange, and immediately Grand Entrance, sorry, as he gets knocked straight in the air. Snitch will come up, and they are going to try and fight for it. They're going to push the middle tower, but they can collapse on the river onto this Rift Herald.
Leon went for the fight here. He's still in the middle of it.
And that coming across. Fan very low. Snitch is also going to get picked off. He goes down. Faton does manage to get away. Leon comes back in and he goes down. That's a 2-for-0. The Shockwave not available anymore with Snitch gone. Grizzly Q low though. Still having to tank out this Rift Herald. But it is RIX that lose 2. And Unicorns of Love will take the Herald.
Oh my word, so well played. We talked about it. If they were able to keep that team fight together and not get exploited by the range of RIX, right now Unicorns of Love are just edging this one out. Unfortunately, Friend, he has invested a lot of time into farming, invested a lot of time into just absorbing minion waves, hasn't quite been there at the start of these engages, and it has been ZachQ that has been benefiting. 1,000 gold in the lead now for Unicorns of Love. And I think RIX look a little unsettled here. This is not the type of RIX that we've been seeing across the rest of the Origin series, and this Unicorns of Love aggressive playstyle coming together quite nicely. Leon held on to this Sonic Wave for a very long time, and watch this, caught straight in the knock-up into the stun from the Galio. You always have to be careful when team fighting against the Galio because of the pure CC that he's able to provide. And unfortunately, I just don't think RIX are able to use that range advantage right now. They're trying to play too much around Doom and Leon, playing into a melee-focused team fight, but I think you get gutted in a melee team fight here versus what Unicorns of Love have brought to the table.
The crowd control they have, it seems, is setting them up nicely, and as you say, the Grand Entrance, the Heroes entrance as well, all being very much measured with Sneelan piling in there. And Leon, I mean, we talked about this, like, obviously, from RIX's point of view, often they would like to get their top laner going. And yes, Leon has been involved in, well, just about everything now. Right now. He's 2 for 3, so he's been involved in everything that's happened. But he hasn't had any chance to get going yet. They have focused him so much, but he's still ahead in gold. He's still almost 1,000 ahead of Coldstar in gold. That could translate later on. And let's not forget, RIX did get the Dragon.
Trying to go for this Rift Herald here. You can see Unicorns of Love not going to commit too much to that fight. I think right at this point, RIX are kind of saying, let's just calm it down a little bit. Let's get Friend and let's get Snitch to a point where they have 2 or 3 items. And we might be able to go for the fight. They're going to drop that Rift Herald top. That should be first tower of the game with the amount of HP that tower's got left available. Leon should just let this one go.
Yeah. As soon as he sees Sneelan there, has to back away. Mid lane, meanwhile, they're going to try and transfer this, see if they can try and pick it up, and they're collapsed in. Look at this. A 4-man collapse into the mid. They do manage to get the knockback and the stun on Grizzly Q, but he gets away from this one. They won't get away from the second one. They're fast on ball. In. Sneelan the rise, but Doom on nothing will go down to the tick in the end. Oh, close fight.
Close fight, but they defend the mid lane tier 1. They don't let too many resources drop. Unicorns of Love still coming out on top right now. This is not the game that people were expecting to see. I think a lot of people were expecting RIX to come in and absolutely slaughter this. And this is a nice surprise for me because this is really showing A, what can happen in a best of 1 at LAN, but B, Group B may be underrated compared to the rest.
Absolutely, and this is something we've kind of talked about. Snitch is kind of sniffing something's not right here, and he's just going to back away from that one. Something we talked about is the fact is, are they ready for the aggression from CIS? We know they're ready to fight. And at the moment, it's not just been unanswered, like, crazy aggression. It's been backed up. They've had teammates there. They have thought about these fights and taken objectives off the back of it.
The coordination is what I'm loving from Unicorns of Love right now. It hasn't been single players making plays, which I think for RIX, especially when you've got someone like Leon, it has felt a little bit more individually driven. Right now, you can see the Unicorns of Love are communicating heavily. I can hear them on stage. They're constantly talking, constantly keeping themselves in the loop of what's going on. And they are very coordinated with the way that they're approaching the map right now. I just think that botched tower dive 1 at level 3 or level 4 kind of offset RIX a little bit, and they've been struggling to recoup ever since.
So Dragon back up, and it does look like it's going to be a point of impact. Friend trying to keep them at bay there. Doom does start it off, but has to disengage. Snitch is finally going to arrive, so here comes the mid lane, and they want to try and set something up. There's the ball. It was actually set up nicely to try and pull a shockwave. Instead, here comes the hero's entrance, smashes them down, and that is a real problem for RIX right now. They're going to try and get away from this one. They do manage to get Cold Start down, but that is all I feel as they back away to their tower. A 1-for-1 trade, it's not done yet. Faton's going to try and focus on Snitch, tries to get around the side, gets a bit more damage down to Grizzly Q. Leon looking for the kick, not going to happen. And all the time, Friend placed perfectly to get involved.
Sneeland's doing so much damage right now that even though they're trying to buy the range, he's actually chunking out Snitch and Friend. I understand what RIX were trying to do there. Disengage, use the range of the Orianna, use the range of the Ezreal. Snitch has got to be super careful. The True Shot Barrage comes in.
True Shot Barrage catches Faton off there a little bit. Snitch does what he can to keep them at bay, but let's not forget that Dragon is still there, and we have the Baron coming up in 20.
Yeah, I don't think Baron will be a point of contention just yet, but it does look due to back timings. You saw that RIX were able to back very quickly, clear the wave mid. They don't lose anything for it, and they should be able to pick up this Dragon. So second Dragon of the game, going the way of RIX, is going to provide a bit of Omni-Vamp to the rest of their team, which may be useful, especially when kiting back for the Ezreal. That is a big win. That's a kick, though.
That is a kick. They do manage to catch him in and lock him up. The tower doing the damage that he needs to. Coldstart tanking it out, but Clue's in all sorts of trouble. He tries to get away, but that is the Dragon laner down, and that will be a turret to follow. So a Dragon down. Leon goes in just as you think they're done. They're not quite. That is a massive hit from Doom, but it's not quite enough to follow it up. They have lost their support as well, and it will be Unicorns of Love that back away without losing a man.
My God, you could just see the teamfight play from Unicorns of Love is so strong. RIX feeling that they're a little bit more, or a little bit stronger than they are. That was a 4v5 opted into by them. They underestimated rather the tankiness from Coldstar. That Gargoyle enchant so huge to be able to provide a lot of sustain for him. He had the immediate backup of his team as well. Unicorns of Love are just playing the better team fight right here. I understand what Leon's doing, but you are hitting one of the tankiest members of the team immediately into a huge Gargoyle stone plate. Impossible to take him down, and a great cask to isolate Clue. And they knew then they had the stats, the health, to take this mid lane tier 1 down. And there's nothing that RIX could really do about it in the same time. For RIX, unfortunately, Friend, Arcane Shift forwards, you're going to die as an Ezreal if you can't find the kill in that scenario, and Friend just a little bit overeager to make that play. But at the end of the day, there is still only a 2,500 gold lead to Unicorns of Love. They are not steamrollering this in terms of gold. It is still a relatively even game.
They certainly have that pick potential, RIX, but the question is, can they get through what is effectively the iron wall right now? What is Rakan doing? Grizzly Q, realizing he's going to have to get through the Baron pit to get out of there because he was trying to set some sort of trap up, and that may be the first mistake we've seen from Unicorns Love, but he didn't get caught out, so he's safe from that one. But they have been controlling the fight.
Yes.
Like every fight is very much Unicorns of Love fully in control.
The team fights from Unicorns of Love have been incredibly well placed, microing in and out of their low HP bars to ensure that the front person is taking the majority of the damage. They realize that the person at the front is going to take all the damage. Right now it is a pure front to back here from RIX. They realize that RIX have to attack the person that is closest to them because of the way that their comp works.
They're going straight in. They're slaying onto it. Grizzly Q, in comes the hero's entrance. Clue has managed to get away. Snitch is very low. Will get pulled out in the end by Zach Q there. The Kaiser finishing the job. What a 4-man kick coming out from Leon, but there's no follow-up. Snitch is gone. Snitch is out of there. Clue is in all sorts of trouble. Fiend has been picked out as well. And RIX, every time they engage, look at the health bars. Unicorns Love, they're fairly untouched.
I mean, what are you supposed to do is at least in a Riven in these fights, you just can't do anything, and they're still going for the engage onto Doom.
It's another grand entrance straight onto Doom, and Doom just tries to get away from this one. The tower's gone. They make it turn straight back on them. He goes in with the Guardian Angel. I get it, but there's 3 of you, not 4, not 5. Leon has to try and get away from this one, but I don't think he's going to get out with his life. The tick should finish him off, and it will take him down. Coldstar gets the kill, 12-4. Unicorns of Love absolutely dashing the hopes and dreams of Group A.
I know,
absolutely.
Right, Unicorns of Love have come prepared, and the comp, it works for them. I was a little worried about that range, the problem dealing with the Orianna and the Ezreal, but what does Lee Sin and a Riven actually do here? They don't do anything for this comp. You're not going to isolate anyone because the only person you can look to isolate is the Kai'Sa, and it's very difficult to find that engage versus a Gragas and a Galio. And then what does the Riven do here? I don't understand the point in the Riven other than to try and get ahead and snowball from the early game.
And the problem for me is that I've been seeing these engagements, and they've been good engagements from RIX, but there's no follow-up, there's no backup, because Snitch wasn't there. Snitch got caught out early. He had to go back.
I don't think you can play the engage fight, Dion.
Oh, they're caught out again. That is absolutely a dead man. Nothing that Clue can do about that. They're going to try and follow on the engage. They've got Grizzly Q off. They managed to pick it off. They may get the next one as well. Doom taking low. Doom goes big. He goes in towards the tower, but is it going to be enough though? Leon is off the side. He can't get involved in this one. Steeler taking low. But look, a friend on the back side. He's trying to do what he can. Phaeton's going to go in, but that's a tricky engage. He goes in towards the blue buff, and Phaeton is not done yet. He wants to follow. They're not allowing them a second to breathe.
My God, but that was one of the best fights we've seen from RIX, but it is still Unicorns of Love well in the lead right here. Finally, Doom finds the broken up team fight they were looking for. They are going to keep poking this from the edge. Maybe teleports coming in from Clue, maybe teleports coming in from Doom. They're going to back off though. They don't want to take this. They've got 2 dragons already. They will leave the mountain for the time being. Again, they do have that late game element to their team. If they can get the Orianna and the Ezreal to 2 to 3 items, plus probably 3 items at this point, they do have that range that can be very devastating to deal with. And that we talk about it, that's one of the things that I thought was going to play into their advantage, but unfortunately they're just not able to peel right now. They're not able to buy the space for both Snitch and Friend.
And with both mid turrets down, let's just take us through this fight, because I mean it was Clue. He was simply he was going in, wants to get the ward down, but they followed the fight.
Unfortunately, the Galio was just a little slow to respond here. He was out of range, and that just meant by the time the Galio, by the way, I think Sneeland's one of the strongest players in this team. I think by the time that Sneeland actually joined the fight, unfortunately, the rest of them got cleaned up by Doom. It was a face check that I think Clue had to make. They didn't want to let that Baron go down for free, but because Unicorns of Love have got complete control of the map, they can demand these kind of face checks. They can force RIX to walk into them, and RIX do not want to walk into this comp because they definitely don't have any legs versus it in melee range.
And now we see the full invade. With the mid turret's gone, the vision is very much starved right now. And look at the map, there's barely anything for RIX right now. So they're going to be very, very careful of their approach when they're coming in here. They can see they're trying to set something up. Clues go in. Leon really wants to start a fight off, doesn't he? He needs to be very careful of his approach as he goes looking once again. At the moment, though, Leon, he's caught again. He's caught that Sonic Wave. He's almost like the bait. And he actually caught ZaQ with it, which would have been the right target, but the rest of his team are not close enough, and it's a risky fight with zero vision.
Again, the problem is that do you actually want to start a fight that way if you're RIX? Because I really think that you're now playing a game of Leon.
Well, Leon does.
Yeah, I know Leon does, but I think Leon needs to use his kick to disengage. I think Leon needs to use his kick to kick Galio away from the backline and allow Snitch and Friend to have the space they need to carry these team fights through. I think if you're engaging a team fight as Leon, I think you're actually playing these team fights wrong for RIX. I think that you need to be there as a kick bot to kick away the closest target from the Orianna and from the Ezreal to ensure that you're giving them the space required to be able to go ahead and kind of beat these team fights out from distance.
RIX felt sure that they were on Baron there. They just rushed in to get those wards in. They felt certain that it was happening. Now they're going to clear out. Now, while that happened, the Unicorns of Love, of course, backed and buyed. So they have got themselves a big, fancy, juicy stack of items once again.
They have indeed.
Friend just catching a little bit. He's got to be careful. He's getting aggressed on by ZaQ. In comes Clue immediately to block it out.
Oh, that's
Friend
a
has
mistake,
taken a lot of damage, and that's Unicorns of Love quickly evacuating. Now this one, Leon did use that kick to disconnect, but there's a massive explosive cast from the Unicorns of Love. Cold
wait a second, here we go.
But they're going to turn it back around. The shockwave comes through. Is it going to be enough to catch on towards them? No, Grizzly Q getting caught out. The revival coming for Doom as well. Coldstar will fall down, and it is a 2-for-0 in favor of RIX at the perfect time.
That is huge for RIX. We finally hit that threshold whether we have a 3-item Ezreal, a 3-item Orianna, and it is difficult. ZaQ made the huge error at the start and went for that killer instinct right into the front line, and Leon just about managed to find that opportunity to go in. RIX have a huge win here. You saw exactly what happens. Once that disengage is pushed back, once they can't find melee range engages from Unicorns of Love, RIX are able to use that range to their advantage and batter them from a distance without any reply. ally. That is the team fight that RIX need to look for time and time again here. And we are at 2,000 gold at 18 minutes into the game. That is nothing in Wild Rift terms. This is an even game. It is a coin flip at this point who can really come out ahead.
Big part for Leon and Doom is they're getting tankier as well, which is going to help them out. They won't get picked off. They are the initial engagers, and Doom, we've seen him already. He's been piling through the team, looking, hunting for Zach, hunting for that damage onto, say, Grizzly Q. And look at Doom once again. He's looking for more here. They want to get the evade. Oh, they went in to try and maybe pull the shockwave there, but it wasn't Phaton they were looking for. They wanted to get on towards Zach Q. That's where the fight began last time. Coldstar taking down about half their health already. Chip damage is coming through from RIX, and it is strong. And once again, they're setting up for Dragon.
They're going for it. Leon's looking for some kind of engage onto Grizzly Q or Zach Q here, but won't find it. Sneelan tanking a lot of that damage with that magic damage shield that the Galio has. It is Infernal Elder. It is the worst Elder in the game to lose, and you can see that both teams are now playing the map around this objective. It will be a Rift Scuttler take here for RIX, which is a pretty big win around these kind of late game objectives.
I'm feeling it. There is a giant shockwave coming. I just see Snitch angling for it a couple of times in that fight. Zach Q caught out, by the way. There's a good kick. Sneeland actually making use of that kick. Now that's not going to be available for Leon for a good couple of seconds, so that's a disengage factor actually, and Unicorns are love realizing this. They
don't have flashes though. They don't
back away.
They don't have flash for Sneeland. They don't have flash for Grizzly Q. They are waiting, and for Coldstar, they're waiting for these things to be up to find the engages onto the backline for RIX. They need those summoner spells at this point to be able to isolate and deal with the backline. Watch for Coldstar. Watch for his explosive cast. He's going to be looking to isolate Snitch or isolate Friend and make it very... Oh, that's the engage!
There's Grizzly going through it. He's going to try and get the knock-up. He's actually pretty well disengaged by RIX. They got around the backside, but Doom has been kept out of this fight. Leon can't get involved. He gets taken down. Doom comes around the side, but RIX are getting decimated by the Unicorns of Love. They've taken 1, 2, 3, looking for more. Doom and Clue run away, and I tell you what, they might finish the game right here.
They're going for the end. It is absolutely huge for them. Unicorns of Love pushing down that first inhibitor tower. They stand just moments away for the first game of this Origin Series Championship. Clue and Doom desperately trying to disengage this.
30 seconds to hold on. That's all they can do. Try and hold them back, but Doom is going to get picked off. Doom goes down. They're tanking the damage. Clue goes down. The Nexus will fall, and the Unicorns of Love will take the first game.
My God, the faces on those guys, the sounds that came from, you can see what it means to them. That is a huge win. Upsets the apple cart here. Oh my word, that is absolutely huge for the first game of the day.
You know what? We did rehearsal. I said, don't worry, there's not going to be celebrations after game one, but I tell you what, Unicorns of Love realize how big that game is.
Yeah.
They have just won a massive opener, and I tell you what, that is a statement to this tournament.
It's a statement, but it's also a huge spanner in all the works of Group A and Group B.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I just think, I don't know, we'd need to obviously go and pick the brains of RIX there. I just felt that that bot lane tier 1 dive didn't go their favor right at the start. It upset the momentum. They weren't able to get there. They weren't able to start the rotations. They weren't able to keep the tempo of the game. And unfortunately, that didn't go well. They couldn't then respond to the Rift Herald take easily. They had a couple of botched team fights at the start. And unfortunately, I think it put them too far behind. Their win condition was range of like Ezreal or Orianna later on. They needed to maintain their range and play from a distance. Unfortunately, that played against what a Riven and an Lee Sin contributed to that team fight.
And they focused Leon at the start.
They really focused
Leon.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 2 and 3, so he'd been involved in almost everything right at the start there. Really worked that focus, and as you say, from then on in, they had control. Every team fight for the first sort of 10, 15 minutes of that game was all Unicorns of Love. Full control. They didn't look worried. The carriers were doing their job. They were staying out of the way. The only fight that RIX won there was when Kaiser engaged himself. He went in. He got caught. And that was the only fight, the really only glimmer of hope that RIX had.
Very aggressive dive bomb strategy to send the Kaiser and have the Galio immediately fall up. I feel like high risk, potentially high reward, but no reward to be found here today, unfortunately.
No, well, at the end of the day, I think I understand because that's comfort for RIX. Like Doom's Riven jungle is very snowbally. We know that he's a great jungler and can take control of the games. Leon on Lee Sin offers them some flex. It didn't complement the draft well enough to disengage for the Orianna on Snitch and the Ezreal for Friend. And that was one of the major issues you saw. They had so many great ways on Unicorns of Love to isolate the only two carries that mattered. The Gragas casks from Cold Star were nutty this game, by the way. And just the chain CC that they provided once they were able to isolate one of those key targets was too much for RIX to deal with. And RIX didn't have enough disengage with just Braum alone. And once, you mentioned correctly, once that Lee Sin kick was down, they were actually lacking in a way to kind of provide space for Orianna and Ezreal. And that really bit them in the butt later on.
The coordination of Unicorns of Love was just immaculate.
Brilliant.
The grand entrance, the hero's entrance immediately on top, and then, oh, you're going to get away? No, here's an explosive cask. Get back in here.
Yeah.
And there's just no escape. So immediately, RIX were fighting every fight with one or two members pretty much either dead or on no health.
I think, and this is a really micro point, that last team fight, right before the end of the game, Snitch used his stasis after he was kind of already zoned away from the fight. So I think if he'd saved that stasis, there might have been a way to kind of get yourself back in. But unfortunately, he used it because he thought he was going to get knocked up by the Galio. But even if he got knocked up right at the edge, he was actually protected by one of the river barriers. He might have been able to negotiate that a bit better. But it's a micro point in a very hectic team fight. I'm never going to call a player out for those moments because, you know, it's mental at that point in the game.
But something that really stood out to me, though, and it's something you talked about as well, the explosive cast. And I know when I was watching it off on the sideline, Viper Room was very excited about that particular team fight. So we're going to go ahead and throw it over to him at the Weatherman section. He's going to share us our thoughts on why he got so excited about that.
I feel you've ruined my surprise there coming through, but hello, it's me, and we're going to be talking through that very exciting explosive cast, and actually, more than anything, how close that game actually was right up until the end. So, right here, we've got Unicorns of Love. They're having a great time at this point in the game. They've had all the action, all the fights have been going their way, and actually, if we just start this one up, you can see that they're already around this Baron area. If we just start this clip up, oh, this is actually coming through, not at the beginning, but this is actually a turnaround, so let's go from here. The explosive cast has come through. Look at these health bars coming through from RIX. Clue, Doom, well below half health. These are important members of their team as well. They've been caught out by the barrel. You can see someone's already resetting here as well. You've got to imagine that's going to be it in the fight, right? That's the game over for RIX. And at this stage in the game, time is 17 minutes on the clock. That's the end of the game if they lose this fight. What we're going to do is we're going to play this one forward a little bit slowly because the turnaround, look, Doom wants to take this fight here. He's going to dive on through, and they're actually catching members. The rest of Unicorns of Love, look, they're also pretty unhealthy. They're not able to continue this fight any further, and they have to back away. For RIX, this is perfect scenario because even though they have low health bars, there are 4 of them against 2, and there's only one person winning in this situation. So we let this one play out. It's an easy catch, it's an easy couple of kills, and then they're able to chase forward and just completely remove Unicorns of Love from this Baron area. It's so easy for RIX in this fight. Even though everything goes against them initially, and they're so far behind, they're still so capable of taking these situations away. Unfortunately, they didn't go on to win the game because Unicorns of Love, they took that last massive fight down in the mid lane. They were able to push through and end, but Unicorns of Love with the upset. I think RIX are still very much in this tournament at the moment, and hopefully the desk is going to agree with me on that one, so back to you guys.
You know what, Will? I would completely agree with you and say that RIX are definitely still in the tournament.
Yes.
Remember, we're only saying goodbye to one team at the group stage, and I don't think it's going to be RIX.
No.
One thing I want to bring us back to, obviously you had questions about the compositions from last game, but also there were some playstyle mistakes. What do you think contributed more towards the first loss from RIX GG? Was it comp, or were they making too many mistakes?
Unicorns of Love coordination.
I actually want to flip this on its head entirely.
Please do.
And what D-Man said. I think Unicorns of Love were just better. I'm going to be. I think
they just played brilliantly.
I think compositionally there was definitely some issues. Like as I said in the cast, what do Riven and Lee Sin do in that comp? Like League Sonic Waves. Oh wait, you're body slammed by Gragas.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you're taunted by Galio. You know, there are so many difficult ways for Lee Sin. He can't navigate that fight. Riven's basically useless in the same way. They needed to snowball that game, and Unicorns of Love didn't let them.
And they came into that game with a clear plan, and they executed that plan perfectly.
Yep.
Can they get away with it again? They're going to face each other later on today. Who knows? There's a lot of games to go today. 9 more matches to go. Let's not get carried away on first game. But honestly, that was a statement match, no doubt about it. But for RIX, the fact is they got focused, and a lot of other teams are going, focus Leon. That may upset them.
I have a feeling that we might see Leon move back onto some different champion picks as this goes on. Lee seems a powerful one, but we know maybe if he gets the
I don't know.
You're going, what's that about,
It's
Keenan?
not really his style, mate. I think we'll see him on Lee a bit more, but I just think Doom needs to play something that isn't Riven. If you're going to pick the Lee, I think you need to pick something slightly different for Doom. I wouldn't. I mean, Xin Zhao was banned, but you know.
Let's not forget, Leon started with the first blood.
Yeah,
he was the one that got the first kill.
In the 1v1, sure.
Yeah,
but if that does that work, and does he still have the potential to kind of elevate the rest of the team if he's being focused that hard by an opponent like
he gets focused. I mean, he got focused in every Origin series. I'm completely honest with you. That's just the way that Leon. That's what Leon does. It's just that Doom usually paths towards Leon early on to at least facilitate or get him rolling. Doom actually pathed bot to go for a bot lane tier 1 tower dive, and that botched. I think that just upset the momentum and the tempo there for RIX, and all credit to Unicorns of Love. They played the map beautifully that game. Vision, and Lee mentioned it a few times in the game, the vision for Unicorns of Love that game was next to none. I've never seen vision control that thorough from a team in the Origin series, and you could see that Unicorns of Love really had that nailed down.
They've been just pounding Weetabix between August and now, just trying to elevate themselves to get up to the Grand Championship stage. But let's put a pin in that match. We're going to move on to game number 2. We'll start talking about that a little bit now. Another Group A versus Group B showdown. We're going to have Game Lord going up against Na'Vi as our second match of the day.
Yeah, a very different game I think we're going to see here. Na'Vi coming into this one, clearly obviously had a bad June, changed 3 players after the June monthly finals. They said it themselves in the video at the start of the show that they're only a 3-month-old team, you know, and that in itself brings problems, but it also brings good things as well, because some people, they're going to be a bit unpredictable coming into this one, whereas Game Lord, we talked about it, they're pretty predictable. You know, Unicorns of Love are already showing the way of how to deal with Game Lord, so them themselves, they've had mixed results, I think it's safe to say. Yes, they've had a second place, but they've also sort of had some rough results along the way.
I would say we'll talk about it more in depth, but I think that Game Lord come in as favourites.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so Game Lords may be the favourites, but they've got a tough opponent in Na'Vi. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about game number 2.